And we will start streaming. Any second now. There we go. Oh.
I just got a buzz that we went live.
Perfect. I can see it going live now. All right. Welcome, everybody, to High Level Games Presents the Star Trek Adventures live stream and eventually podcast. I am VP Quinn, and why don't you guys introduce yourselves and then give your character name and their species.
Hi, I'm Derek. I'm Ythrasi the Andorian.
Hi, I'm Vanessa. I'm playing Bassa Item, and I am a Trill Chief Medical Officer.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michael. I'm playing Celis Argel, the captain, who is a Bajoran.
Hello, I am Jake. I am playing the Betazoid First Officer, Kirid Hex.
Hi, I'm Tim. I'm playing the Human Con Officer, Marcus Barton.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And for those of you that are tuning in, I'm sorry that it started a few minutes late. I had some technical issues with my microphone, but I've sorted it out as much as I can sort it out. And so what I'm going to start off with now is I'm going to start off with our opening speech. So this is what we're going to put onto the podcast, and it's going to start every episode, and we're going to take turns kind of saying it. And we're going to put it to music and stuff. So when it does go to the podcast level, this is what you're going to hear. Deep space, pushing the bounds of what is the final frontier. Melting pot of sentient species and special phenomena, of plot and peril. Our 5-year mission is at the edge of Federation territory, nearly off the edge of the map. After half a century of conflict and exploration, new forces are now emerging. To defend its interests, Starfleet sends a refurbished Excelsior-class ship. It may be far from the Dominion threat, but this is not an easy assignment. Help is weeks away, and the dangers are legion. These are the adventures, not the voyages. You're going to have to edit that out, sorry. These are the adventures of the USS Bonaventure. So that's going to be our opening stuff, and it's going to be set to music, and it's going to sound awesome. Way more awesome than it sounded right now.
Personally, I think you should leave in that little stutter. That really increases the hype that this isn't actually Star Trek.
But it is actually Star Trek. Shut up!
Actually, I think CBS and Paramount won't let us use that title.
That's not true. We have done our homework on whether we can do this. And we can. We absolutely can. Anyways, so welcome back, everybody. When we left off, our intrepid heroes had gotten their assignment after being junior officers on Benjamin Sisko's ship at the Battle of Wolf 5-9, and they had that shared awful experience and trauma. And they had scattered to the four winds when... Michael, what is your character's name, and why didn't you put it on your tag?
He's muted.
And
I don't know how to edit my name tag.
If you go to your settings, it's the first thing, display name.
Here we go.
Perfect.
So my name is Celis Argel, and I now have a name that is on the thing.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Michael. So Celis was promoted to captain, and as part of that process, bye, Celis.
That technical adjustment was too much for his machine.
Hi, Celis.
Hello, I have returned.
So as part of his promotion, he decided to reach out to his compatriots that are at Wolf 359 and make them his senior staff on his new ship. New to him. The Bonaventure is almost 100 years old, and it spent the last 3 decades in the mothball fleet that the Federation keeps off of Saturn. And yeah, if you want to listen live, it's twitch.tv/high_level_games. That's where you can listen live. So what happened was that the Bonaventure was in mothballs for about 30 years, and with the Odyssey being destroyed by the Dominion with the Jem'Hadar suicide strike in the Gamma Quadrant, being as that was the top-of-the-line Galaxy-class starship, and Federation kind of reeled from that, and in reaction, they started to activate the mothball fleet. As part of and parcel of that, they started moving assets out to the distant parts of the Federation from that mothball fleet so that they could keep their more kind of top-of-the-line assets focused on the threat to come. And that's where you guys come in. They activated the Bonaventure and sent you out to the armpit of the Federation. It took you 2 months to travel here, and you have about 200 extra people on board, most of which are kind of the core of what is going to be the Federation presence on the planet Castoria. Now, Castoria is a binary system that has another planet, a binary planetary system that has another planet on the same rotation as it called Tyranidae, or Tyranidan. And Tyranidan is kind of not super happy that you're here, and is a client state of a faction of the Orion Syndicate. So when the Castores decided to join the Federation, they were not super happy, and the Castores also sprung on the Federation. 5 years, they're going to hold a planetary referendum as to whether or not they're going to stay in Starfleet. So the Bonaventure is there to fly the flag and protect the Federation interests, because you cannot have planets leaving the Federation right now. It would show weakness. And so you traveled all the way to Starbase 117, which is known as... Does everyone remember?
The hole?
The hole. Yes, it's a huge meteor that had been carved out by the Klingons, by a Klingon civilian trade operation, and had been ceded to the Federation a long time ago in a little red portion of the Khitomer Accords. And when you arrived there, you saw that there were 2 other ships that were tasked to Starbase 117. They were a... Excelsior, or was it Constellation class? Excelsior class. No. Was it Constellation class?
Constitution, wasn't it?
Constellation class, the Louis Riel, and a half-built Constitution class that is being refurbished there called the John A. MacDonald, which is nowhere near space-worthy yet. You dropped off a few Danube-class runabouts, the Columbia, the Kootenai, and the Chaudière. I don't know how to say that. My French is terrible. And you started to meet with some of the people at Starbase 117, which included Captain Celis Argel meeting with Commander Eriko Sulu, and Derek going to the upper level... was it the upper level lounge and gaming emporium? And what else happened there? Did anybody else go to meet anybody? Oh, wait. Marcus had some problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I seem to recall...
It's almost like one of those moments when you're sitting in class and you're like, "Oh, come on, teacher, forget the test, forget the test, forget the test." Damn it.
Yeah, for what I recall, you were moving the Danube class runabouts out of the shuttle bay and into Starbase 117 when something went wrong.
Horribly wrong, I
Horribly,
believe, was
horribly
the
wrong.
better phrase.
Also, Sirid also met your new
Chief Drunk.
chief engineer, your acting chief engineer, who is by the name of David Humphreys.
Charming guy.
Charming guy. He's drinking on duty. He was a little belligerent, and you ordered him to go and report to the Bonaventure and stay there. Is that correct?
That's right.
So, Marcus, why don't we turn to our favorite human who thinks he's a Klingon?
Sure.
So, what happened is that you were getting ready to move all of the runabouts across, and it was kind of tricky to get out given how much extra stuff had been piled in to go and set up this embassy on Castoria. And so you were having some problems, and one of the problems that you had, I love that I can see Jake's cat just waving his butt in front of Jake.
He won't stop.
This is why cats are evil. So Marcus, what I'm thinking is that on your way out, as you were flying the Kootenai, you were coming out of the shuttle bay, and you immediately kind of poured on the impulse speed a little too hard, and you ended up scraping along the side of Starbase 117. So
That'll be
immediately, as you guys are all sitting in the various parts of the Starbase, a red alert comes on everywhere. And so it just starts, red alert, battle stations, and everyone just starts to scatter as people are freaking out. Now, Celis, were you still in ops during this period? I don't remember.
You're muted.
He's gonna mime the whole thing. He decided. We kind of established
He
that.
should have been
beforehand.
with the captain, from what I recall.
Commander?
Yes.
Oh. Should have just mimed it. Be like, oh. Let's try and say something. No. I'm going to read his lips, so just keep talking. Hello. I'm so angry.
No, he said I had some soup. No, he was meeting the commander of the base last we left him.
Yeah.
He was.
Michael, just to make sure our bases are covered, are you muted in the browser?
Put your mouse over your picture.
Nope.
No.
Are you muted on Nessie? Is it flashing?
Well,
You should have learned last time.
Hello,
Stop pressing.
Michael.
hello. Welcome back.
So,
I don't know why you're so angry.
I just had an experience. I feel like I might have been visited by the prophets and took me away for a moment.
Oh.
How was the soup?
It was, how shall we say, non-corporeal? It's a little weird.
Non-corporeal is the best kind of soup.
Non-corporeal, no soup. Yummy.
Still trying to make sense of my soup experience. I believe that I was in ops.
Okay, so I'm going to say that you're just wrapping up your meeting with Commander Sulu. And by the way, I actually had a tech security specialist contact us and give us an in-universe reason for why there are so many tablets.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said that the only way to secure classified information is to not put anything on a network, so it has to be on a physical thing. So if there's multiple tablets all over the thing. There's probably a lot of sensitive information.
Okay.
Ah,
Cool.
Which
I
I
like
think that I kind of said that. It's for security reasons during the time, but I was really excited when somebody was like, no, this is actually makes sense. / I'm a Star Trek nerd, and I figured I wanted it to make sense, which is the best part of being a Star Trek.
Congratulations, it stuck to the wall.
Yeah. So Commander Sulu looks at you as it goes red alert, and she's... What just happened? Gotta be kidding. Where did it... Oh? Oh?
everyone dropped all at once.
Ah, there we go.
Mass droppage.
Okay.
So
What
much
happened there?
soup was had. So much soup.
Did everybody lose that for a second?
Yeah, I lost everybody. Yeah.
I think that must be a Roll20 issue, because if it happened to everybody... Okay. Well, hi, back again, and welcome to the evils of the internet. This was not going as smoothly as I liked it to, but yeah, let's just charge along. So you're in ops when Commander Sulu, her mouth just drops. Her mouth just drops, and she just jumps up and runs out of her office into ops. As like the deep red of the Klingon red alert is going off. And you see her senior staff is running around and looking for what's going on. And they're saying, we've gotten an impact near Cargo Bay or Shuttle Bay 4, and we don't know what it is yet. Sensors are trying to scan. The only thing that we can see out there is a Federation runabout. It's right
Yikes.
near the Bonaventure. So Marcus, what do you do when this happens? You scrape along the side, and your port nacelle, not after port. It's the sides, left and right. Starboard nacelle. There we go. Your starboard nacelle is now trailing plasma as you're careening away from Starbase 117. The nice thing about Starbase 117 is it's built out of a meteor that is incredibly strong, and it's virtually indestructible. The bad part of that is that if you careen into it, it's going to mess up you.
Yeah, that's really going to be a bad day. So the first job then would be to get control of the craft.
Right. And how are we going to do that?
Well, I will, as a pilot, I can probably tell just by not even really looking which direction I'm spinning, and so apply thrusters in a counter so that to apply some counter spin.
Okay. So this is going to be a piloting. But the first thing that I'm going to need to do is I got to look up runabout itself, because the runabout can assist you, right?
Right.
So let's just double check. No. Oh, probably not an alien vessels. It's definitely not an alien vessel.
Under R for runabout.
Thank you, Vanessa.
You're welcome. So helpful.
It's like every third page there's a picture of a runabout. This is not helpful.
Is it a Danube class runabout?
It is a Danube class runabout.
Page 235.
You.
Uh-huh.
Shuttles and runabouts. Danube class runabout. Beautiful. So, what you are going to do is you're going to try to make an action that is you're going to try to make an action to get control of this ship. Okay?
Yes.
Yes, which is important to do given you are wrecking the entire place. Now, as far as you go, this is going to be since. How exactly are you trying to gain control? You're doing some spin and trying to.
Yeah, using the thrusters just to apply a counter spin, regain control of the craft, and just bring it back under my control.
Okay, so I'm going to have you do a control and con test. But the beautiful thing is that the runabout itself has a con skill that can help you. So it has a con skill of 2, and someone else can roll that. So you roll the you roll yourself.
Okay.
And he rolls.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna apply my
Combat
focus too.
rolls.
By your focus, what is your focus?
Helm's operations.
Sure.
Ooh, there's a green.
2 successes, not bad.
And the green means a good thing.
Yeah.
What is it called?
The green means that you got it doubles the amount of successes you would get. So with the focus plus with this, I mean, you got 2 successes plus your focus, which is 3 successes. That means you get automatically extra momentum. So we're going to add those momentum down there for you guys to spend. You don't even have to roll for the Danube class runabout right now because of that, which is really exciting. You gain control again. At this point, you hear in ops as you're standing there looking at the view screen, trying to figure out what's going on. They bring up the Bonaventure, and into the screen of the Bonaventure, you see the Kootenai spinning. Right itself, venting plasma come into the screen and regain control just before it careens into the Bonaventure that is docked there with its shuttle bay wide open. Marcus, you're being hailed.
I open the channel.
Okay, this is Commander Sulu. What the hell is going on out there?
We had a collision. I have regained control of the craft.
Is everything okay? Do you need to be beamed out? Do you need do you need a medical assistance?
I do a quick check of the systems, make sure that plasma vent isn't serious.
It's pretty serious.
I say. I say. Stand by. I'm attempting to ascertain the situation.
Okay, so ascertaining the situation. So, what you can do is you can make a insight and engineering check.
Oh. This is not the greatest one.
Remember, those momentum are there to be used. 0 successes. You need at least 1 success. Somebody's gonna have to roll for the Kootenai. It has
Okay, what
a
do we roll
1
for that?
engineering, and that's a D20 to see if you get a success on that. So
Okay, I'll just 1d20.
yeah.
Yep. Go for it.
8.
That should do it.
So what is your insight and engineering? 7, 8, 9. So that is a single success because of the systems and the self-diagnostic systems of the runabout. You're able to ascertain that you're dead in space right now. You've stabilized everything, but right now, if you try to get from here to either of the shuttle bays, it's going to be exceptionally dangerous. Would you like to ask for assistance, or would you prefer to try to land this thing?
I'm going to establish contact again with Commander Sulu. I'll say the craft is dead in the water. Requesting either a tug or I can attempt to pilot her manually.
We can bring you in. Do you need medical assistance as well?
Negative.
Okay. So Commander Sulu starts making the arrangements to hit you with a tractor beam and pull you in closer to the shuttle bay, where the secondary landing shuttle tractor beam will take you the rest of the way. As Ops starts doing this, Commander Sulu breaks the hail and turns around to Captain Celis and says, I suggest you go down and find out what just happened. I know my security officer is probably on his way. Or on their way.
To which I say, very well.
Okay. So you head down. They end the red alert. Everyone kind of stops freaking out. They announce over kind of the PA that this was a minor a shuttle accident and everybody's fine. Go back about your business. And Marcus, you're pulled into the shuttle bay. As you land, you see a... Yes?
I hear minor shuttle accident, and I make a beeline there.
All right. Okay. So in the shuttle bay, as you get in there, there's of course the people that would be working the shuttle bay, but walking in is a smiling Denobulan in a gold uniform that walks up, and as the runabout lands, he just kind of wanders up and he waves at you through the window, and he's like, "Hi, hi." You can't quite hear him or anything, but he kind of waves you to come on out.
All right, I stand up, thumb the hatch open, and step out.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Commander Matu Barit. I'm the chief of security here, and I just wanted to see what was going on. Is everything okay?
It appears so. It seems it was a little too hard on the impulse engines and scraped the starboard nacelle.
Gee whiz, you don't say, because it looked to me, and I mean, I'm not an expert with sensors, but it looked to me like you came roaring out of the back of the Bonaventure and lost control. Is that what it looked like to you?
When did we get there?
Side note,
right
this is
then, you see the captain kind of storming down the one side of the hallway as you're running down the other, medical tricorder in hand. The captain looks embarrassed and angry.
I run and I try and get ahead of the captain because I feel like this is very out of character, that there must be something really wrong for him not to be able to pilot a simple shuttlecraft into where it's supposed to be. So, yeah. So I'm like, I have special gloves that I put on as I'm running, and I basically go and I get up to him and I pull his eyes open as much as I can.
So you
to
see
start
Dr.
looking at
Basa
Oh.
just come in the thing, and she's just running at a full clip. Runs, pushes Matu aside, and just immediately starts examining you.
Do you have any memory lapses? Have you had any problems with your speech since this happened? How long was the blip? Did you fall? Did you shift? And I just barrage question after question while I'm like pulling at things and scanning things and
Okay, so in order to make a medical examination, Vanessa, you're going to make an insight and medicine check.
okay.
Please fail this with complications. Break his arm while you're checking him out.
And 2 die, yeah. Let's do this. And could I get I don't know. I have emergency medicine. Would that be an applicable focus?
Oh, this is totally an emergency.
I don't think that would be a...
No. Okay. What about infectious disease?
Also not a focus right
Okay. Just making sure. I want to cover all my bases.
Dang.
2 successes, not a problem. You only needed 1, so I'm going to add a momentum.
All right. So yeah, I after completing it, I let them know that all is well. Though I will do a full workup. I assure you, Captain, I will make sure that this is not something that was not fully looked into.
So, Captain, you walk into this tornado of medical terminology that's happening, and this smiling Denobulan security officer goes, "Hey, you must be the captain. I'm Matu. How are you?"
That is the most Canadian security officer ever. When he was yelling at the guy, it was really nice.
Matu is known as a very positive and grinning investigator that comes across as very kind, and then he gets his man.
Good.
And he gets his man. That's not a familiar phrase at all.
He always gets his man.
Yes, that was.
So he says, "Captain, how are you? Were you up in ops during this whole thing?"
I was. And Daniel, I'd really like a situation report. What the hell is going on?
Oh, this is Marcus.
Oh, Marcus.
Well, upon exiting the shuttlecraft, the shuttle bay, my speed was higher than it should have been. I scraped the starboard nacelle on the Starbase.
Celis is giving you a resigned and somewhat vacant stare of disappointment. Like, not really saying anything, just kind of disappointed.
Matu is holding open a tricorder and says, "That's exactly what I see, too."
That's great.
Hey, Captain, I am charged with the security of this base, and I just need to know that I know that there's 2 other runabouts that are supposed to come over here. I wonder if you'd let my staff handle that process, just in case.
You know, whatever makes you feel better. It's your Starbase.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I know that you starship captains don't like other people messing around on your ships, but this would make me feel a whole lot better. Oh, and hey, just before I head out, just so you know, I know no one likes paperwork, but I will be forming a formal report on Marcus here, because he did exceed the regulated speed to dock at the Starbase. So just keep your eye open on that. You guys have a great day.
Is this security officer wearing red and riding a horse by chance?
No. He's wearing gold and standing there. He's Denobulan, so he's super happy. Are you saying the Denobulans are the Canadians of space?
Of the universe, yeah, absolutely.
All right, so the Starbase staff starts taking over this process of moving the stuff. There's an engineering repair team that is being brought in to deal with the runabout that is now going to be in need of serious repairs. And basically, Dr. Bassa, Captain Celis, and was it Lieutenant Commander Marcus? Is that right?
Yeah.
Lieutenant Commander Marcus are kind of left to their own devices as Lieutenant Commander Matu wanders off.
Have you considered your mental health, Marcus?
Not yet.
So perhaps when you have some downtime, that's something we'll maybe explore. Feelings of risk-taking are signs that there could be some problems there as well.
How do you feel about your father?
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Captain, what's the status? What was that red alert about?
So Sirid just
message you on the call.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that we had a whole situation, but don't worry, it's taken care of. Without going into much detail, as I'm still overcome with annoyance that this is happening.
I have a feeling that overcome with annoyance is going to be something your character is going to be a lot.
Could be.
Do you need me to come back to the ship, sir?
You know, that would be prudent.
On my way.
Great.
Off comms.
So, Sirid, where are you headed then?
I was at the gaming lounge, so I put down my drink, and I'm going to head back to the ship.
Okay.
I was off duty.
I mean, you can just wander out to the transporter bay and be super easy.
Yep.
Or you can walk all the way down, and they're docked right now, so you can kind of...
Actually, I'm going to do that. He wants to kind of get a feeling for this whole...
Yeah, as you walk, you do get... you start walking together. Another officer is leaving the ship, or leaving the upper level lounge, and he's a Bolian in a gold uniform. He has Lieutenant Pips, and he's just kind of seems to be going in the same direction you are.
Lieutenant?
Are you commander?
I have to look at my sheet for that.
I think you're commander because you're first officer. Commander, sir?
You heading to the Bonaventure?
Yes. Are you? You must be from the Bonaventure. Hi.
I am. Who are you?
I'm Aaron.
Aaron?
Yes, I'm the chief engineer here on Starbase 117.
Oh, it's nice to meet you. I met an engineer who's coming aboard our vessel. What was his name?
Dave Humphreys.
David Humphreys. That's the one. Yeah.
Good luck.
I beg your pardon?
Good luck. He was on my staff for the last 6 months.
Any words of advice?
He's good at what he does, but he's hard to work with.
How did you cope?
Reprimands, night shifts. And I mean, I don't actually know how I coped because I am stuck in this crappy old Klingon space station and everything is constantly breaking down. You know what I just heard?
What did you just hear?
I heard that someone ran a Danube-class runabout into the side of my starbase.
Was somebody trying to put a hole in the hole?
Did you call it?
I beg your pardon. This beautiful Starbase.
It's not beautiful. It's a piece of crap. But only we are allowed to call it that. And he just sputters the whole way there. Hey, Captain, what are you doing? You and Marcus, I'm sure Dr. Bassa kind of wanders off to do her own thing.
Marcus requests permission to return to the Bonaventure and confine himself to quarters.
For shame.
Oh no, I think this needs to be public shaming.
Well, don't worry. Everyone will know, independent of where he goes right now. This is a very public thing that's happening. I mean, we like to discourage gossip in Starfleet, but there's only... You can't contain some things.
Word travels fast with this sort of stuff.
Yeah, literally the Starbase engineering staff is being ordered to your shuttle bay to unload, and that never happens.
Yeah.
In fact, for most starship captains, this would be seen as a personal insult.
Yep.
But our captain is so cautious that he's like, watched the first thing happen, and he's like, "Yep, you're right." Someone else should handle this.
Their concern is not without warrant.
Yeah. Risk adverse captain. Yeah.
So I feel like I get where they're coming from. I'm not mad. Yeah. So
your con officer has just requested to be confined to quarters. How do you respond?
I'm going to ask that my con officer, I know the chief medical officer is present, but concerned about what just happened, as well as his mental state, as well as being concerned about his response to, have you thought about his mental health? I'd like him to head to sickbay for a full workup.
Great idea.
Really, I'm wondering if there might be some stuff going on that maybe he just chose not to disclose.
Would you prefer him to go to Starbase sickbay or to the Bonaventure sickbay?
I would prefer that he go to the Bonaventure.
Okay. So you two are to report to sickbay, and off you go.
Yes, sir.
Ew.
It's less embarrassing this way.
All right, Ithrossi, you're back at the upper level lounge, drinking your Andorian brandy, and exciting first hour. Do you have any ideas as to what you want to do? Pass your time. There's Domjot, and there's what is that Ferengi game? I don't remember.
The girls, the blah 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 girl.
No, well, there's also I'm not thinking that the Ferengi game that Quark.
Congo?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So all of these games are available to you, as well as some scary-looking and painful Klingon games, because the bartender is Klingon.
Well,
and also there's Hollow Suites.
Have I been made aware of what just happened on the Bonaventure in the runabout?
You have not.
No.
No.
Okay.
So it's obviously not a security matter that concerns you. That's what you would assume at this point.
Well, I think I might want to try some of those Klingon games.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So you definitely go and you start. There's these games that are games of chance, but whereas human games tend to reward when you do something right, Klingon games tend to punish you for doing stuff that's wrong. And the punishments tend to be in the form of painful shocks. So it's a combination trivia / strategy game that the bartender explains to you, Kawin. He's like, oh yeah, you love this game. It is phenomenal. It is a game based on boldness and honor and being able to answer questions and remain sharp under stress. You'll love it. It's great.
Now, are these questions related to things concerning Klingon culture?
It's general trivia.
Okay, sure.
So why don't you make a control security roll
All right.
just to see how well you play this game.
Number of d20 is at 2?
Yep.
2.
Well, no, you should roll from your.
It
Yeah.
asks you to put in dice on your character
Oh
sheet.
yes,
Because
Yeah.
if you were to purchase dice using momentum, that is where you would add it.
that's right.
All right. So now technically any one of my foci might apply to this, eh?
If you have a foci that focus that pertains to this, it might apply.
No, I don't.
Trivia questions.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you definitely are able to play this game. It's not bad. You're not bad at it. It's not the most enjoyable thing, but you think you could probably get some Andorian friends of yours to enjoy this game because they definitely, there's a certain branch of Andorian culture that enjoys games that involve kind of high risks and boldness and pain.
What about a would-be Klingon human shipmate of mine?
He'd probably love this game. /
Yeah.
he probably has played it before.
Might I want to contact him, see if he wants to join me? Because I have no idea what's gone
Do
on.
that right now.
Sure, yeah.
So I reach out to Marcus.
Okay, you hit your comm and you reach out to Marcus.
Hey, Marcus, what are you doing?
Marcus here.
Hey, you busy?
Yes.
You
Yeah?
hear Dr. Bassa in the background nattering away.
I'm asking questions like, have you had feelings of loneliness and stress in your life right now? Have you had thoughts of suicide? Do you have a plan for that? Very direct, pointed questions.
Oh, so I guess I hear all this going on and I say, shit, you okay? Do you need any help with anything?
I'm fine. Martin out.
Part out.
well, I think I'm kind of concerned because that's not really a conventional thing you hear when you reach out or call someone. So, yeah. I guess I can't reach out to the doctor because I know what she's doing. I'll reach out to Sirid.
Kyron, right?
Sirid, Kyrid?
At this point, everyone is saying Seared. Let's just run with that.
Oh. So I reach out to Sirid or Kyrid. Hey, is everything okay?
There seems to have been a minor incident involving the side of the Starbase and Marcus. I'm headed back to the ship right now to speak with the captain about it. I don't know if you're needed or not. You may just want to contact the captain, see if he wants you back there.
Sure. Thanks. Okay,
Got
so I reach out to the captain. Celis.
Hello.
Captain.
Hello, Ithrasi.
Just being told what's going on. Do you want me back on the ship?
I feel like that would be prudent, yes.
Okay, so
So essentially, shore leave canceled for the senior staff. Thanks,
Yeah,
Marcus.
I'd like everyone back on the ship, and I think we're gonna have to have a debrief and kind of talk about what happened.
Another debrief?
That's fair.
Jeez.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So do you contact everybody and just say debrief in an hour or something?
After instructing Ithrasi to come back, I decide that, we do need to have this debrief with everyone, and instruct everyone to come back in an hour.
All right, so we're going to move to that scene. Let's see. Put you guys in briefing room. Now you've lost a point of momentum because you've changed the scene. Everybody gets into the briefing room. So this is the senior staff. And since you asked for the senior staff to attend, David Humphreys is there.
Quinn, I just see the hole.
Oh,
Just see the hole.
right.
Mhm.
I haven't actually moved you guys there.
As long as you see it, that's what's important.
Ah, there we be.
How's that?
That is
Great.
a briefing room.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is the briefing room of the Bonaventure. Everybody shows up. David Humphreys is the first person there because he was excited to not have to be in his room. And he's kind of sitting there at the end of the table with his hand in his head in his hands and a steaming Rock de Gino in front of him. And everyone's looking at each other, waiting for the captain to arrive. Does anybody have anything to say as everyone sits down?
Everybody, this is David Humphreys, the chief engineer.
Acting. Chief
Acting chief engineer.
engineer.
Yes.
Hi.
Mr. Burton is very silent and stoic.
Mr. Humphreys, I would like to arrange a medical for you at your earliest convenience.
Didn't you get my medical files or something?
Yes, I found that there's often things that are left out that would be best done by me, a professional.
I just had a medical review with Dr. Joel.
Very well. I'll see you tomorrow.
What? Whatever. So, Marcus, I hear this is your fault.
He shoots him a glare, but doesn't say anything.
Isn't that like a huge dishonor or something?
He shifts in his chair very uncomfortably.
Not much for talking, eh? Whatever. All right. At this point, the doors open up, and Captain Celis walks in. I mean, you guys have known him for a lot of years at this point, but you've never seen his face this shade of purple before. As he walks in super silently and takes his spot at the head of the...
This is going to be fun.
So this meeting isn't about putting anyone on the spot, but I did want to talk about what happened today and how we can best support each other moving forward.
Spot the social worker.
You know, sometimes things happen and that's okay. But like if, for instance, one of us felt like they needed extra support, that's okay. But we kind of need to hash that out.
Isn't it his fault? David says and points to Marcus.
To which I say, well.
Is it you, Marcus?
I accept responsibility for my actions.
What exactly did happen?
I overestimated the force on the Danube-class impulse engines. Came out of the shuttle bay at too high a velocity.
You accelerated too hard?
Yes.
You are a con officer, not a con man, right?
David just starts killing himself laughing. Oh, Dr. Bassa. They need sick bay, so I think he just got burnt.
I like this guy.
I feel like this would be an excellent time to remind everyone that in any situation, an excess of caution with an eye to safety will very rarely result in worse outcomes, whether that's medical stuff or shooting phasers at plasma leaks or trying to park Danu class runabouts.
What the captain is saying is drive slower.
Please.
Drive
Yes, sir.
slower.
Is he gonna get like a reprimand or something?
No, I feel like this meeting is like, we've set out our expectations, and if he continues to crash ships, then we probably have to look at finding him a new job.
Ow.
But for now, and Marcus, really important to let us know what you feel like we can do to have you be the best con officer that you can be.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Good talk, everyone.
I'm just sitting there uncomfortably because you haven't dismissed anyone.
Yep.
Well, you're all dismissed.
All right.
Please don't crash any more runabouts.
Marcus is the first one out.
Captain, may I have a word with you in your office, please?
Yes.
Okay, David looks at Sirid and he's like, do I have to go back to
Wait here, please.
here? Uh-oh.
Here.
All right. So you're going to the captain's ready room?
Yes.
All right. So you lose another point of momentum because you've changed the scene. Now the scene is Celis and his first officer in the ready room.
Captain, I feel it is my duty to report that I found our new chief engineer drinking when he was supposed to be on duty. He's also, as you can see, shown to have a code of conduct that is below what you would normally expect Starfleet expectations. I spoke with the chief engineer of the Starbase, and apparently he's incredibly difficult to work with, so you may want to set a tone with him of command just to keep him in line.
I appreciate you bringing these concerns. I will bring them forward to the chief medical officer, who I understand will be doing a physical with him tomorrow, and she can bring up conduct around things like consumption of synthale on duty.
All right.
It is worth. Wasn't synthale.
You can drink synthale on duty, but not so much not synthale. I think it's worth reminding Sirid that David Humphreys will rise to the level of expectation that we set for him, but that with things the way they are and things heating up in the Alpha Quadrant, maybe we can't be as picky as we'd otherwise be.
Understandable. Absolutely.
We've got who we've got.
More immediately to the point, I had sentenced him to his quarters prior to you calling the meeting, and I will leave him to you. I informed him that he should remain in the office. You can then dismiss him, as it were, to go about his duties in whatever way you see fit.
Very well.
Okay.
Well,
Captain, are you going to share with your first officer what you know about his personnel record?
Yes.
Okay. Share away.
What do I know about his personnel record?
There was a huge portion of the early stuff that's been redacted by Starfleet security.
Yes.
Or Starfleet intelligence, I should say.
So there are a couple things that we don't know. Been asking around, but we're still not sure. But at his core, we're confident that he's a competent engineer, and we just need to, work on a few things.
That would explain his ability to behave in the manner in which he does and still retain his post.
That would explain it, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
I don't know if there's anything we can do about that, but we'll carry on, I guess. Hopefully he performs his duties well.
It's got to be an outcomes-oriented starship.
If I do say so, Captain, you would make an excellent social worker were you not a captain.
Oh, well, thank you, Sirid. All right, dismissed.
So, do you want to call David into your ready room?
Yes.
Okay, so David comes in. He's holding his Raktajino. He's kind of swaying a little and looks a little sheepish, but defiant. Captain?
Well, David, 2 things. 1, you're going to that physical tomorrow. 2, no more drinking on duty. Is that understood?
Yeah.
That's all. Dismissed. Go back to your quarters.
Right.
Good talk.
And he just leaves. All right. So at this point, is there anything else interesting that you guys want to do while you're at Starbase 117? Or are you basically just going to get the Bonaventure ready and get underway?
Well-
The only thing I'm going to do is review medical records from David Humphreys with a fine-tooth comb and see what I can find out before his physical.
Okay.
Look for holes.
I think we all would have liked to have had a greater shore leave time, but since Marcus ruined that for us,
Everyone.
we're all back on the ship anyway.
Yeah.
I feel like it might be time to resume our mission.
Okay. So we'll go to sickbay next for Marcus's physical. And can everyone see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, so during this scene, there's kind of nurses and stuff around. People are prepping because there's a whole bunch of new people coming on board from 117, both crew and passengers that are going to Castoria. And so everyone's getting ready for whatever species that are coming on board and making sure their records are in order, that sort of thing. And Marcus kind of rolls in there. He looks a little worse.
Not Marcus.
David. Wanders in there. He looks a little worse for wear, but he does show up on time for his physical.
Okay. When I reviewed his records, did I find anything of interest or?
He's in perfect health as far as his records show. There is a gap in his records that have been redacted.
Okay.
But you're not sure why or by whom, but they are redacted at a higher security clearance than you have.
Okay. So he comes in. I start with, I have a standard, just a short little 100-question questionnaire that I start with before examination.
Oh, brutal.
But some of it does involve like using substances that are not necessarily good for the body, and so things like what medicational substances or substances used for enjoyment do you use that is
He tells you as the occasional drink, but you are doing a full workup on him. So why don't you do an insight plus medicine roll?
Okay.
See what you find out.
Open. Insight. Medicine. What happened? And all right, so I do a check on him and do a workup.
So our captain, who is a social worker in real life, has posted up the Michigan alcoholism screening test, just for everyone's information. So that's nice. You've got 2 successes, so you only needed 1 success. So I'll add a point of momentum that'll bring you back up to 2, I think. And at this point, you find out that there are multiple substances in his system. He is clearly a heavy drinker, and he uses other substances, some of which are illicit in the Federation.
So I can see that you are hiding things from me, and we will definitely have you check in with me every morning so I can administer some clearing hypo spray to get rid of this stuff in your system, so you can adequately do your job while you're on board. Meanwhile, you will be spending time doing some mindfulness training in the holodeck, where you will learn to better manage your emotions without the use of substances.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, why would I kid about something like this? Health is important.
Is that an order?
Yes.
Fine. Whatever. Can I go on duty now?
Yes, but and this one isn't an order, but a suggestion. A suggestion would be, I know I'm very personable and easy to get along with, but so it seems very easy for me. But I would suggest that you make some connections with people on crew, because having a base of community will definitely help you as well through these issues. So find one good friend today.
Are you for real?
This is awesome.
Yes.
All right, I'll see what I can do.
Great.
Am I free to go? Can I go on duty?
So I say I'm going to administer some hypo spray to get some of the stuff out of his system, so he's more clear-headed while he's on duty, to counteract some of that stuff.
Okay. So you give him a couple of hypo sprays, and then you return him to duty, and he leaves.
Yep.
So he leaves, and he goes to report to engineering, which is, of course, engineering on the Bonaventure is a veritable playground for engineers. Just top notch. And so he takes off. Do you feel it necessary to report your findings about illicit substances to any of the members of the senior staff?
I definitely let the captain know that perhaps he had been self-medicating for different things, but I had prescribed this mindfulness training, as well as I was going to check in with him every day, and I would report back on my findings, whether any of that is helping.
As you relay that back, I set out the expectation that if when he next reports in, things haven't improved, he will be temporarily relieved of duty.
Okay.
And that is the instruction that I provided to you.
Okay, great.
Okay. Captain, do you feel it pertinent to relay this information to any of the other senior staff?
No.
Okay. All right. Marcus, I assume you're returned to duty as well, and the next day, you guys kind of about halfway through the day, you get along back onto your mission. So now the next scene is everybody in the bridge. Which I still think that's a cool looking bridge, and I really appreciate the artist that allowed us to use that bridge for our purposes. So you guys are headed out. The senior staff are likely, barring David, who's in engineering, and Dr. Bassa, who's... Dr. Bassa, are you going to be on the bridge, or are you going to be in sick bay?
I'd probably make sure everything was going well in sick bay, and then I think I would regularly report to the bridge because I really want to take care of my senior staff.
Okay. So Dr. Bessa has a annoying habit of like calling up every 10 minutes to let everyone know what's going on in sick bay and to ask if everyone's okay.
Well, no, I think I make sure everything's okay in sick bay, and I go up to take care of senior staff, and I call down to sick bay periodically.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah, because I want to be there in case there's anything.
In case someone gets the sniffles.
Well, I mean, there's a lot more
Or
serious
decides
things
to
other
ram.
than sniffles.
Or decides to ram the ship into something else.
Yes.
So you guys head along. Now you're on about a 5-day journey to Castoria. And the star charts show different areas that you are to navigate around. So setting that course is to be a roll. It is a control plus con roll for Marcus. And it's going to be super simple to do.
You got this.
I'll note that as we're setting the course, we can kind of feel the tension building on the bridge. Not in anticipation that Marcus will fail, but kind of thinking about the last time he had to steer something.
I'm also applying my helm's focus.
Yep. Lovely. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, no problem. This is no problem, and you guys gain a point of... So you're up to 3. So at this point, you guys head out. About 3 days later, there is a diplomatic function that is going to be hosted in the Coriolis room that the senior staff are required to attend.
Dress uniform?
Dress uniform. Well, I mean, that's really a captain's decision, but it is protocol at diplomatic functions that senior staff attend in dress uniform.
Wear your dress uniform.
There we go.
All right. Yeah, I hear you.
All right.
Marcus comes out of his quarters and he's already tugging at his collar.
Before the function, I make sure that the biofilters into that room are functioning correctly.
I check security.
Oh, not the Coriolis room, the Corona room.
Nice looking room.
Yeah, so this is the lounge on the Bonaventure. This would be kind of like your version of 10 forward, except I think this one's on a much different deck, not on the 10th deck, forward section, which does lead one to believe that Guinan had really no creativity in naming it. So the Coriolis room is at this point during the diplomatic function full of people. And there are Ferengi, and there's a Cardassian there. There is a Klingon, there's the Castores liaison, Jazzo. There's Vulcan. There's a human. There is a heavily cyberneticized human, an Andorian, and even a Zaldan is there. They're all over the place, and it's just packed in there. And as the senior staff, it is up to you to kind of mingle. So the party is ongoing. You guys all arrive. David Humphreys has been making his morning meetings and doing his prescriptions so far because you informed him that if this doesn't improve, he's going to be relieved of duty. So that seems to be working right now. But he is owly about it. And you, Sirid and Celis have both heard different reports unofficially that the engineering staff hate him.
Sounds about right.
There you go.
Okay.
So what do you guys do?
I immediately go up to the heavily cyberneticized human and begin comparing cybernetics.
Okay. So you walk up to this person. Let's see. I just gotta. This is Special Envoy Glenn Lore. Or no, wait, that's not him. Special Envoy Kell. He's a technical consultant for the Federation en route to help get the Castores get their planetary data net up and running. There are rumors about the reasons why he's so heavily cyberneticized and chose such clearly mechanical replacements. And he's got kind of a maverick style reputation. But he is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Excellent.
He has also 2 Binar assistants that are with him at the.
You'll have to help me out with what that means.
So Binar are a species. They're kind of very short. They have kind of big pinkish heads and cybernetic implants around their brains. Their prefrontal cortex is removed after birth and replaced with a computer. And then they're twinned in pairs. And the pairs work together on projects with a electronic ability that is unsurpassed, and they can communicate faster using this than any language. And
Cool.
they're renowned in the Federation for their ability with technology. They're famous for having commandeered at one point the Enterprise in order to save their computer core data while their entire planet had to shut down due to solar flare. But they're working with Special Envoy Kell. So you walk up to him, and the 2 binars are back and forth to each other, and he's kind of holding a drink, and he's leaning on the bar. He sees you coming up with your kind of little bit of a limp. Commander?
Special Envoy, how are you this evening?
Well, nobody's dead, so I guess it's a good night.
You never know if Barton will take control of the ship, what'll happen, eh?
Yeah, I heard that. I'm not getting in a shuttlecraft with him, that's for sure.
Hey, it was fine. It's just the people outside the shuttle that aren't.
Yeah.
So, I'm admiring the cybernetic work you had done. Where did you get some of those installed?
All over the place. Some of this is my own work. Some of it I picked up here and there. But
do you mind giving me a brief tour of what you have?
That's a pretty personal question. You can see most of it. I just feel that human beings have an opportunity with the technology that we have right now to really get beyond our limitations. And not through genetic augmentation. I mean, we all know where that leads. But through use of technology.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's even an artificial human serving in Starfleet. Right? Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. I have no idea.
That'd be Lieutenant Commander Data. Of the Starship Enterprise.
Right.
Android.
Of course. Yes. Everyone knows that. Yes. I'm like everyone else. Yes, I couldn't agree more with you about the potentials that cybernetics have for improving the human race.
I think we just holding ourselves back for only using these kind of augmentations when we need them for medical procedures.
Oh, that is a very interesting assertion. Very, very bold. Gives me something to ponder.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Your eyes are more limited than the sensors of a tricorder. We have the ability to make them better. Why wouldn't we? Be
It's a good question.
stronger and faster. Look at my assistants. Because of their augmentations, their abilities with machines and collaboration are, light years ahead of anything the humans can do. At least they're a lot faster at it.
That they are. I can't keep up with them. What then, in your opinion, makes you human?
No, I don't even care. That is a question for philosophers and probably for Starfleet captains, but I don't know if humanity is something that we should even strive to.
That is a very interesting claim. I'm sure there are some species that would really agree with you.
Yeah. Let's talk about for a second this very human-centric language that we use. Humanity as something to strive through. Humankind. Trying to be humane.
I step in and ask and tell the commander that he's wanted by the captain.
All right.
Thank you, Ithrasi.
We step back out of earshot, and I asked if he wanted to continue that conversation.
If you'll excuse me, envoy.
Yeah.
And let's turn to Ithrasi.
So, yeah, that guy's creepy.
Yeah, I did not expect that. Well, I'm going to avoid him for the rest of the night.
So anybody else have anybody they want to talk to?
Don't do it. They're creepy. All of them are creepy. And
I'm going to go to the Klingon guy and start talking in Klingon to him.
All right, so let's see. I'll just bring up this Klingon. So there is... Oh, no, there's no Klingon there. Sorry, I misread. Carry on.
Just go start talking to Klingon to everyone you meet.
Sorry, there was no Klingon there.
Klingon. I'm going to start talking Klingon in a random corner of the room.
To no one.
Kabla! So there is no Klingon there. I'm sorry, that was my bad.
Do you have someone you want to talk to instead, Marcus? Sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
Can you remind me who was there?
So there's Byrock, a Ferengi, his younger sister Nilram, Karduk, a Cardassian with an eye patch. There is Jazo, the Castores Federation liaison, who's this really tall, thin, snake-like humanoid, and with a kind of a breather over his mouth. There is academic Sunar, a Vulcan, and Lieutenant Thorndyke, who is a human medical researcher. There is a old man named Special Envoy Glenn Lore, and he looks very severe. There is, of course, Special Envoy Kel, who we've already had the pleasure of meeting. There's Ambassador Otalev Tichian, an Andorian, who is heading to Castores as part of the diplomatic corps. And there is Constable Injo, a Zaldan, who look almost exactly human, but their feet and hands are webbed.
Right. I'm going to go talk to the Castores.
Okay, so you walk up to Jazo. Jazo is standing there by himself, looking out kind of beneficently at everyone. You can see that he's a very old Castores. You can see the colors in his greenish, brown mottled skin is starting to fade. And he stands well over 7 feet tall, but he's very, very thin. He looks at you coming towards him and he goes, "Hello."
Greetings.
Lieutenant Commander.
Ambassador. What do you think of our fine ship here?
It is not the most impressive ship I have ever seen. Looks like much work has been done. Tell me, are the engines as impressive as I've been told?
They are indeed. Even though she is an old ship, her engines match that of a Galaxy class.
Is that right?
Indeed.
I'm sure that will serve us well.
That was
Yes,
ominous.
Yes, I'm sure we will be of great benefit to one another.
You didn't grow up.
No, I grew up among the Klingons.
Interesting. What was that like? Do you feel connected with your species, its culture, and history?
To be honest, not all that strongly. I feel a greater connection to my Klingon upbringing.
Does that make you less loyal than your compatriots?
I would say no. The Klingon ideals of honor and loyalty are among the highest values and most valued among the Klingon people.
And did you not join the Klingon Defense Force because of their racist, xenophobic attitudes towards non-Klingons?
I joined Starfleet under the encouragement of my guardians.
Do you agree? They are xenophobic, aren't they?
At times they are fearful of the unknown, but then what species is not?
The Castores.
Indeed. It just got awkward.
There has been
Just
a long pause. Is this conversation complete?
I believe so.
I think Marcus has finally found someone to communicate with on his same level.
Then you may go.
A pleasure speaking with you.
The pleasure is all yours.
All right. So much awkwardness.
I feel like this is really.
Why did you
capturing-
guys choose the two most terrible people in this room?
Why didn't you tell us they were?
Jazzo is a nice guy. It's just there's some cultural differences.
I don't
Okay.
buy it.
Hell,
I don't
less
buy
so.
it. Yeah, he's a psycho.
He's so good with technology.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
It's just a little weird. It's fine.
Anybody else want to mingle?
Yes.
I warned you.
Okay, Doctor, who would you like to mingle?
Well, I see this as an opportunity to teach David Humphreys on how to make connections with other people. And so I'm explaining to him that we're going to make contact with someone which we would think is vastly different and have vastly different ideas, but even them we can learn from, and they can provide us great value. And so I drag him over to the Ferengi.
Yeah, he looks like he's in physical pain. All right, so you walk up, and the Ferengi is holding court. She's like, yes. Yes. Oh,
It is
yes,
nice-
Doctor.
It is nice to see you. It is nice to see you. I trust things are going well for you on this journey so far.
Yes. Very
Yes.
good. Looks like lots of opportunity for profit.
Yes, absolutely. I was just explaining to my friend David here, how much we can learn from each other, and so I thought maybe like I just really wanted to show him that maybe the 33rd rule of acquisition, the one that says you should try and suck up to your boss, and how that could be maybe important for him and his life. Well, can you explain that rule of acquisition to him?
The rules of acquisition. They're
Mhm.
very important. The sucking up to your boss is a
Mhm.
key component of Ferengi culture. You see, even if they are family, as my sister here, Nilram, is, family, as the rule of acquisition states, are like a ladder. There are rungs on the ladder to success. Don't be afraid to step on them.
Mhm.
That is one half of the philosophy. The other half is to never be afraid to suck up to the boss. You see, the boss can help you in all things. And he just starts going forward.
Yep.
Just to let you know, he's the head of the Ferengi Trade Association, and prior to the discovery of the Bajoran wormhole, he was something of a disreputable person. But he happened to have purchased a small shipping concern that was perfectly positioned when the wormhole opened, that he allowed him to become very wealthy. His sister is with him, and one thing that you immediately notice as a friend of the Ferengi
Is
is
she
that
clothed?
she is clothed.
Which is very interesting.
Very
Yeah.
interesting. And it's interesting when you talk about like the Ferengi culture, the women are not clothed at all. And the reaction to women being clothed is seen as not just culturally taboo, but it is seen as kind of deviant behavior. In some of the books, it makes a analogy to how some conservative, socially people would see someone that's really into bondage or something. It's that kind of deviance from their perspective. Not that I am in any way kink shaming. I'm just trying to use that as an analogy. But yeah, so she's just sitting there. She's very quiet, and she's kind of watching the conversation go on, and Byrock keeps on telling Yash, and he goes on and on about how sucking up to the boss is super important. He gives a charming anecdote of when he was younger, and he continually brought tube grubs to his boss every morning for breakfast without being asked until he got a promotion. Because his boss eventually died of advanced heart failure from overeating.
That was very opportune for you. Yes.
Yes. Worked out quite well.
And through Ferengi culture, is there a time where it would be proper for me to address his sister and invite her in the conversation? I mean, not as much, but
I mean, there's not a place in Ferengi culture to talk to women.
I know, yeah.
Right? So
But I'm thinking she's a bit more progressive with the clothing, so maybe make some kind of gestures. Yeah.
She just kind of nods when you refer to her and doesn't say a lot. She does introduce herself. Hi, I'm Nilram. It's nice to see you.
And David, maybe you want to tell them a bit about yourself.
I'm the chief engineer, acting chief engineer.
So what made you want to become an engineer?
I'm pretty good at fixing things. Seem like
That's
the thing
great.
to do.
I'm good at fixing, people that are hurt. So I can appreciate that.
And he does. He looks hurt right now with how painful this conversation has been for him. As the conversation goes on, Byrock suddenly goes, wait. Are you the Dr. Basa Edom?
Why, yes, I am.
I've heard all about you. The Grand Nagus himself speaks of you. That's so exciting that I met you on this outpost. It's incredible.
It was a great pleasure to find the cure that had ailed your people, and yes.
Yes. Oh, wait, Captain. He's the head of the Ferengi trade. Starts waving you, Celis.
All right, I walk over.
Captain, do you know who this is? And he's pointing to your.
She
I have
is,
no idea who's that.
She is in fact our doctor. I do know who
more
this
than
is.
that. She's a friend. The Ferengi people owe her a great debt. She saved the lobes of some of the greatest Ferengi, including the Grand Nagus himself. She is a hero of the Ferengi Alliance. So exciting. And while I have you here, I was thinking. You have all of these screens all over your ship, and you're going to be in Castores space for some time. Why don't you allow me to advertise on these screens just a few items, tasteful, of course, tasteful. Also, I thought maybe there's a new technology that can beam out a ongoing series of subspace communications wherever you're traveling, where people can make orders from reputable sources. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that sounds really fascinating. Instead of rejecting his offers outright, I'm instead going to reference Starfleet policy and kind of bounce it to them. It's not us that's saying no; it's Starfleet. But you've got some really fascinating ideas. It seems like you've got some great business acumen. We're really happy that you're on this trip with us. But at this time, we can't be your space billboard, unfortunately.
Oh, but Captain, you must start the journey on the great material continuum. That is certainly what needs to happen instead of this exploration. There's a whole world in the great material continuum that you could explore. And he's just going on and on. You can certainly go and mingle with somebody else, and this conversation could you too.
As this conversation draws on and I see the opportunity to abandon Marcus to his fate, I decide that it would be an excellent time to talk to the Federation liaison to the Castores.
That's Jazzo.
We're back to Jazzo.
So you walk up, he's standing there, there's no one around him. And he's breathing through his mask, and he sees you coming up. Captain.
Hello.
I am Jazzo.
Nice to meet you, Jazzo. I am the captain. So at this point, remarking on how well our mission is going, and ask him for his insights as a Castore on Castore Federation relations. But in the kind of vague, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a placation. Like, this isn't really a serious conversation. We just kind of need something to talk about because this party is
small talk, cocktail party talk.
Yeah, let's. But how's Federation Castore relations going?
Very. I am quite happy with how things are going. My people have selected me to speak on their behalf. Ever since the Federation Council has allowed us to enter the things have deal. Very excited to have this mission, especially Terranidae, always at our heels. Does this ship have adequate weapons?
This ship is adequately equipped to defend itself, but we hope that it won't come to that.
Of course. But it will. Don't know.
Yep.
I was talking to your second officer. He is of the opinion that the Klingons are xenophobic. Do you agree?
You know, I think that all races fear what they don't understand.
That's what he said.
That's because it's probably true.
Does he always speak the truth? Strange.
He does, yes.
Sting.
Can I shoot someone a pained look to make them come over? Who's around me?
Well,
Captain, I need you.
Is Rossi the security guy just going around rescuing people from awkward conversations?
I'm not much of a small talker. So.
Rossi is the real MVP in this scenario.
I'm giving Ethrasi the come here eyes, not the go, I'm going to go over there. I want him to come, or her to come here.
Okay, I'm here. Captain, you're needed in the turbo lift.
Great. And I take this time to introduce you and tell a short but charming anecdote about your prowess in battle, with the aim of making him talk at you as I apologize and leave to go somewhere else.
Are well equipped for battle?
Yes, very.
Has this always been your...
Yes, I am the chief of security.
Excellent. I find it interesting. Many Federation species choose multiple careers, paths of study over time. Castores are reasonably study only one item.
We're a very Renaissance people. Jacks of all trades.
Jacks of what?
All trades.
I don't understand what...
It's an old Earth term meaning a person who excels at many skills, has many abilities.
Yes, Earth terms. That is how the cookie crumbles.
You got it.
The Andorian and the Castores are just... We don't really get Earth slang and idioms.
Go
ahead.
Oh no, you go.
So Jazzo then starts asking you, what was your greatest battle?
Me versus a coolant leak.
This is what?
A coolant leak.
Coolant leak.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
The ship was in dire straits, and I had to had no other options. I fired my phaser into the core, and it helped mend leaking coolant.
That sounds incredibly dangerous.
I had no other option. It was that or die. So
that is bold. Appreciate boldness in battle.
Thank you.
Need that kind of boldness when facing the Tyrannidae.
Why do you say that?
They are tenacious enemies. My people were peaceful before tyranny.
So it's a shared opinion amongst you and your people that you're going to need bold fighting skills against these Tyranidae.
They don't know any language other than words. Weren't for the Orions, we'd still be at war.
What did the Orions do?
50 years ago, just after we achieved warp capabilities, Orions arrived, used their advanced technology to enforce a peace between us.
Did this
Force
favor
that peace end a disruptor till we began the application process to join the mission.
Did they favor any one species over the other? The Tyranidae?
Not to my knowledge. Or the Tyranidae. The Orions didn't favor species. Now, they're close allies with the Tyranidae, not with the Castores. Not happy toward the Federation.
Well, hopefully we can help you with that.
I hope so as well. I had requested a warship.
Well, the Bonaventure will do just fine.
So.
At this point,
Go ahead.
At this point, I excuse myself to go check on the captain, make sure that this urgent matter is taken care of.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Any more mingling that needs to be done?
I've been mingled out.
I heavily suggest to David Humphreys that he try and approach another group and have a conversation.
So when you're about to suggest that, you're so engrossed in the conversation with Byrock that didn't notice him sneak away, and he's no longer in the.
Computer, where is David Humphreys?
David Humphreys is in his quarters.
Must have been tired. That's all right. Just want to make sure he's okay.
Captain, what are you doing now?
Well, I sort of started making my way towards the door, but then felt like since we're having this function, that I should continue small talking with people around.
So would you like to mingle with somebody else while we're at it?
I think that as I'm mingling, my others can see that I become involuntarily tense whenever the Cardassian walks by. So I decide to address the elephant in the room by going and talking to
her name's
Karduk.
Karduk.
Yes.
She is female and she has an eye patch. Like there's not like straps that go off, just kind of metallic eye patch that goes over one eye. She is a trader that you picked up at Starbase 117 that is trying to open up trade routes to Castores. And so since that's in line with your interests, she was allowed to come along on a venture for this voyage to make contacts and do her thing. She's kind of holding court with a group of people, including the Zaldan. The Zaldan Constable Injo is a large, muscular man with kind of some plated armor he's wearing. And you can just tell that he keeps reaching for where a sidearm would be, but it's not there. because he's on the Bonaventure, and he just keeps, like, it's obviously a habit, and it's not there, and so his hand kind of just keeps twitching towards his side. And Karduk is just telling everybody about all of this, about a great story, but you can't hear it until you get up close.
Well, I go up close. I want to put aside my prejudices and hear his story.
Ah, Captain, I was just getting started. Welcome. Oh, Bajoran. I'd heard that. The first Bajoran captain in Starfleet. Is that true?
That is correct.
Lovely, lovely. It's so good to see you. It's exciting to be a part of this this journey, isn't it?
It is. I say tersely with involuntary tension.
So, anyhow, as I was saying, my ship is the Peerless Among the Stars. We call it the Peerless. It is faster and more powerful than even probably a Galaxy-class starship. It is amazing. And when I take it out, I mean, of course, I've made some personal adjustments to it because, you know, obviously I'm a trader, and so it has to have more cargo than scientific acumen. But it is super exciting. It once was actually way back in the day. It's an older class, Galor class starship that served during the served years ago in the Cardassian military, but now it's mine. It's all mine, and it is beautiful. She is perfect. I'm sure, Captain, you love your command. Well, the Peerless is a thing to behold. I'm hoping she's going to meet me when I get to Castoria.
I nod and pretend to be interested. Great. Wonderful that your ship is good.
So have you heard reports of Orion activity in this area?
We are aware that they have a presence in the area, and they have affected our new partners.
So what are your plans for the Orions? I mean, are you going to exterminate them like a bunch of Romulans? Or instead, are you going to try to bring them alongside in a very Federation style of diplomacy?
Well, at the end of the day, the Orions are people, mostly people too. And so long as they learn to abide by the rules of the Federation, there's no reason why we can't live in peace, so long as they agree to abide by those rules.
So that's such a Federation answer, isn't it? See, you Federation, you just never can tell just what that sounds like to anyone that's not a citizen.
How so?
Well, she kind of leans back, big smile on her face, and she goes, the problem with the Federation is that they always assume that they're right about it. And they can't imagine why anyone wouldn't want to be a part of the Federation. And so you create your rules, and you create your territories, and you do all of this with this cloying smile on your face, and the whole time gain more power and territory, and anyone that doesn't go along has to be brought into line.
I would remind Karduk that the rules of the Federation are created and recreated through the consent of the people of which it is a part.
Oh, much like Cardassian rules, then. The state rules at the behest of the people. People require the state. That's what they say anyways.
Much like that.
Yes. I think it's more like that than you know.
Huh, well.
Just joking. Come on. Don't you have a sense of humor, Captain?
At this point, Captain is just so tense and regrets his decision to come over here, and like can barely contain his disdain despite Kardak really not doing anything terribly wrong. Maybe got a bit of prejudice going.
Can Marcus step up now?
Sure.
Yeah. Captain,
Hello, Marcus.
I believe you are needed over at the bar.
Yes, I believe I am needed over at the bar. Thank you, Marcus. Marcus, have you met Kardak? He's a Cardassian trader. He is a very interesting. She is very interesting and has a ship named the Peerless, which I was just hearing all about. Kardak, you were saying that it was as fast and as powerful as a Galaxy class? Maybe you could tell Marcus a bit about that.
Absolutely.
I say as I leave to go to the bar.
Bye-bye, Captain.
Bye, Kardak.
Well, Marcus, let me tell you all. So at this point, I'm assuming you guys are getting to the end of the mingling, and I hope that you guys all have an understanding now of whenever these diplomatic functions come up, you see the cast of any of the Star Trek series say how much they hate them.
Fair.
Yep.
Because everyone's insufferable and awful, and you have to be nice to them. Terrible. So the night goes on. Of course, Captain, everybody wants a moment of your time. Everybody else kind of slowly filters out. And as time goes on, things are winding down. When suddenly the entire room just rocks and everybody is like thrown around. At this point, the red alert comes on, and you hear the klaxon start for red alert.
Okay, I'm going to...
Captain, your comm comes up. Captain, this is the bridge officer. What is this bridge officer's name? Let me see. Dizrak? Yeah, it is the Benzite flight control officer, Bizrak, and he communicates down very quickly, and he's just like, Captain, we have run into a subspace anomaly. We need you on the bridge.
So at this point, red alert has happened.
Yeah.
And I am ordering, not knowing what this is, and that it caused a bit of a disturbance, and we'll order everyone to action stations.
Yes. So, yeah, protocol is on red alert that all staff go to their alert stations. Red alert is of course, the highest level of alert. It's used in combat scenarios and when the ship is at immediate threat. So everybody runs off. David runs for engineering. Vanessa, do you go to the bridge or do you go to sickbay?
Hearing that it's a spatial anomaly, I'm gonna head to the bridge.
Okay. So everyone runs up to the bridge, and at this point, you guys all kind of arrive at the same time, minus David, and the crew that was manning the bridge at the time, they step aside, they relieve themselves, and you guys take your stations, and immediately they start to give you a report. Their report is that they have come into an area of subspace interference that was... they were under the understanding that the course that had been laid in previously was going to take them around these spots of subspace interference, and that this wasn't going to be a problem, but they've stumbled into one. when they went into it, they immediately put shields up, and the ship is taking stress, and they're very worried about the action on the shields. The shields have already dropped to 80%.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we've all arrived on the bridge.
Yes,
Okay.
and you've come to a full stop.
And although you just described that, I am going to ask the nearest NPC for a situation report.
Okay, that's what they describe to you. They say they've dropped out of warp, come to a full stop. The subspace interference has taken the warp field completely offline. The warp engines are shut down right now, and the shields went up automatically, but they're taking an incredible amount of stress from the subspace interference. You do remember that these subspace pockets have been named called
Polly pockets?
no, they're called Scylla and Charybdis, and they're just these subspace areas that are well charted, and you're to stay the hell away from.
Oh, good.
Does science know the nature of the subspace interference that is bombarding the shields?
That's a great question, science.
Well, let's make a roll to see if I do.
Okay, at this point, you guys have 2 momentum, and for this, I'm going to the task is going to be what exactly you're going to try to do.
I'm going to try and call on my studies to see if I have recall anything about the subspace interference.
So just remember it. So yeah, then what I'm going to have you do is a reason and science.
Okay. Reason and science. This is not my area of expertise.
So at this point, I remember back to a former host that I had, who was deeply involved in studying different anomaly. Why can't I say that word? Anomalies in space. And so I go next to Kyrid and also start helping out as well.
Okay, so you're going to do assisting.
Yes, I don't know how that all works.
No, neither do I. I have to double check that. Okay. Assisting. Assisting. Tax. Qualities. I don't assisting. Just look this up for a second. Action choices.
When more than one character is involved in a task, one character is the leader and the other characters are assistants. Final say, to assist with a task, the player must describe how their character is assisting the task's leader. If the game master agrees, then each assistant rolls 1d20 using their own target number and their own focus to determine if any successes are scored.
Okay, so do that.
Okay, so it's reason and science
Reason
that
and
we're rolling?
science. Yeah.
And we're each rolling one.
So you have this person now. How are you helping?
So I because there's more than one panel, I'm scanning for
So
things that
right now
might help
he was
us out.
just right now he was just using his memory to kind of
So
call
why
up
don't we
information.
talk about it? Why don't we just talk about things
Sure.
that we've learned?
And so I say, yeah, we start talking about,
Okay.
have you seen this before? This is, yeah.
Okay, so make your guys' rolls. So that is 1 success, a trait, and then now Vanessa, I think you
Yeah.
Yes.
0 successes. You both you don't remember.
Okay.
All right. Well, now let's start scanning. Let's see if we can use the ship's sensors to try and figure out what's out there.
Right.
So, Chief Science Officer, sensor sweep.
Yep.
Action is the ship. So, right. Okay, so the starship can assist in this using its sensors. And so, so the sensor number, does that add that many dice to it? Is that how that works?
I don't know.
So, yeah, it is a reason plus science task assisted by the ship's sensors plus science with a difficulty of 0, but there is a aspect on the scene, and the aspect is 2 separate aspects of subspace interference, which increases the difficulty to a 2
Okay.
to do this sensor sweep. So you can roll whoever is doing the sensor sweep, which I'm assuming is
That would be me.
Grid.
What does the ship add?
So one person who's not you rolls a sensors plus science. It doesn't add the dice; they act as another character, and you
Okay.
add your successes together.
All right. Can I spend 1 momentum to
That's
this?
a group question.
Yes.
Okay. Done. So 3 d20s is going to be rolled. I don't have an applicable focus.
3 successes.
Woo!
You can still roll the ship's stuff to see if you gain any momentum.
Yes, please do so. Someone, one of you,
And what do we need to roll? How many?
roll 2d20.
2d20? Okay, done.
So
1?
the Bonaventure has, let's see, what was it? It was sensors plus science. Its sensors is 10 and its science is 2, so that's 12.
That's
So
2 more
those
successes.
2 more
more
successes. So your momentum goes up from 1 to 3. And so you can ask 1 question because of your success.
Oh, geez.
And if you want, you can spend a momentum to ask additional questions, 1 for every momentum spent.
So, all right, just a group discussion. What sort of things would be prudent to ask in this case?
Well, if the stress is all in the ship, how do we get out? Because we're at a stop now.
Mhm. And
I think that's our most pertinent thing, right?
Well, I don't know if it stopped us or if we just stopped in defense to defend against whatever's going on.
Specifically, as captain, I want to know if the nature of the interference that's interfering with the shields will interfere with the rest of the ship when the shields fail. And I also want to know the extent of the phenomenon around us. Like, can we just reverse an impulse to get out of it in 2 minutes. So
Right,
the
because
nature
we
and
have
extent.
between 1 and 4 questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Depending on how much momentum you want to spend.
Yes.
So what's your first question?
So, because do we even I think it's most important to figure out what is going on. We don't even know. We just know it's a subspace disturbance.
Mhm.
So I think to ask about the nature of this disturbance should be the first question.
Okay.
All right. So what is causing the disturbance in the drain on our shields?
What is causing the disturbance? So the drain on the shields is being caused by a specific type of subspace anomaly that is known to be incredibly damaging and dissipate energy fields.
Okay.
And so what you can tell from that is that it is sapping the energy away. I mean, the change in the energy field immediately popped your warp field, and now it is draining the energy away from the shields. You can speculate from that once the shields are gone, it'll continue to dissipate energy.
Okay.
Which is a possibly
once it's gone, it
lethal
would affect
problem.
the crew. Yeah, it would affect every system, draining energy until we're just a cold hunk in space. Okay. So now, are there any additional questions? Do you want to spend momentum on additional questions?
I will point out, you guys have zero reason to believe that Marcus did not plot the appropriate course, but there is this problem that's hanging over his ability.
So what you're saying is we have zero reason to believe he screwed up, but he screwed up just a little bit ago.
Well, I mean,
You
the
have
math
zero
kind
reason-
of checked out when it happened, but recent history. But are you going to ask any more questions?
I don't know what would be appropriate to ask versus what wouldn't. I'm guessing how do we get out of this would not be an appropriate question. So, by the way, I think we've answered one of your questions. Will it affect the crew? Yes, after the shields are gone.
Mhm.
What was your other one?
My other one was about the extent of this phenomenon.
Yeah.
We've dropped out of warp. I assume we can't go back to warp. So, are we far enough? Are we close enough to the edge of this phenomenon to back out using sublight engines?
Yes. Is there? So I will spend a momentum to ask an additional question. What is the extent of the phenomenon to the point of within space? Would we be able to use impulse engines to get ourselves out of it?
At impulse, you'll be able to leave this in about a minute.
That we could leave it in a minute.
That's well before the shields would.
So that answers your question.
That answers that question.
Yeah, you want to reverse impulse and back out of this?
I want to plot a course directly out of this full impulse.
Aye, sir.
All right, Marcus, you're going to need to make a con and control check.
Okay.
I'm going
I'm
to
gonna throw in-
spend 3 points of threat to increase, plus the 2 traits that are on the scene to make this a level 5 task.
What's that mean?
You need 5 successes.
Okay.
Can
I
any
can-
of us offer him assistance?
Not
I can throw in my helm's operations. Do we have any momentum I could throw in?
Yes.
How many do we have?
So the ship itself can assist with engines plus con, and you can
Okay.
spend momentum. Of
Spend
which I
all-
think you have 2 left, right?
So that means you can add 1 dice to your pool.
Okay. I'll add 1 dice to my pool.
And you need
And I'm
to.
going.
I'll roll for the ship. It's 2d20.
Okay. And I'm also going to have my focus of Helm's operations in there. I don't suppose evasive action would add something to that, would it?
Is that another focus?
Yeah, it
Once
is.
you,
So
Once
once
you-
you've added a focus,
yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right. No stacking. That's too bad. 3. Yes. 4 dice.
Okay, so that's 3 successes
4.
and a 4th success from the Bonaventure because it's engine plus was it engineering plus or engines plus con is a 13, so you have 4th success. You do not achieve the threshold of 5. And so what happens is, as the impulse drives come on, the energy from the impulse drive just starts feeding out into the anomaly.
I report, sir.
So you don't actually move. The Bonaventure kind of shakes a little bit, and there's no movement that happens.
Sir,
At
impulse
this
engine-
point, the shields drop some more. Now, your shield stress, you've taken 3 points of stress. Now you've taken a 4th.
I report, sir. Impulse engines are at full, but the ship does not seem to be moving.
Okay. Why would that happen? What could cause that?
It's a great question. That's
Can I use this knowledge from this previous host and look up and see if there's any
anomalies.
Anomalies.
Anemones.
anomaly
Anemones.
that would suck up energy from impulse drives and from warp drives and what that could be?
Yeah, certainly. You can use a reason plus science task, and you can be assisted by Bonaventure's computers plus science. That's an 11. So, reason plus science task, it is a difficulty 0 task to look things up in the computer. But of course, with the subspace interference, it's going to increase by 2. And I'm going to spend an additional 3 points of threat to increase it to a 5.
All right. Okay. So,
You know what? I'm not going to. I'm going to spend a 1 point of
okay.
increase it to a 3. There's 1 success. Now, who wants to roll for the Bonaventure?
I'll get it. How many?
2.
2. So those are 2 successes. What you do not get the information you need. The computer system seems to be glitching right now due to subspace interference.
Captain, I can't even pull up anything that might be related to this anomaly. I don't know what's going on. Too much interference.
Okay, so we can't move
At impulse.
at impulse. Can we... 2 questions. We're about a minute out at impulse. Can we... And we can't move. Can we reorient the ship using thrusters and attempt to reestablish the warp field even briefly for the millisecond it would take at warp to get out of this field?
You don't need the reorient the ship to establish a warp, but
Okay.
yeah, you can certainly try to establish a warp.
I think that would be the next best course of action.
Okay.
If I may, I take it your thought is point us in a direction that gets us out and give us just like a second or millisecond of warp to.
Exactly. So if we if reversing the ship, we were only at impulse a minute out from being clear of this field. What I wouldn't want to do is to go to warp further into the field.
Yeah, at warp in the same direction, it will be like a second, and you'll.
Okay.
Okay. Reorienting the ship. What level of task would that be?
Well, you don't really need to do that yet. First, you need to bring up the warp. So that is David. So David is going to try that. It is a an engineering plus reason. Just double check to make sure. Oh, warp field dynamics. He has a focus.
Great.
Hooray!
Yay!
So he does manage to get the warp field up, but he does not reach the threshold of 2 successes that he's going to need. So when the warp field comes up, immediately what you realize is that the warp field is producing more than enough energy to make sure that there's not energy dissipating from the shields, but you're still not moving.
Okay.
I think Tim, you've got the best scan or sensor capabilities. Whoever is it, maybe Derek. I don't know what your sensor capabilities are, but scan around to see if you can detect any things around us, any objects floating that could be causing this sort of interference. Because if we could shoot our way out of this, that'd be nice.
All right, so I guess I'll do a scan. How does that work, Quinn?
Okay, so a sensor sweep is a reason plus science task,
Okay.
assisted by the Bonaventure sensors plus science.
No, if it's reason plus science, I've got high science, even if my reason's not great.
My science is low, but my reason is high.
Probably more than compensates.
Yeah.
So who's
I think one
doing
of you guys has a better chance.
You go ahead.
Okay, so I'll do that. And is somebody going to roll for the ship then?
What about you, Captain?
Sure. What am I rolling?
2d20.
Okay.
Okay,
0.
Oh, no.
so 0 successes. The ship now gets to roll
Okay, so roll
2d20, and it's a sensors plus science, so that's a 12.
so 2d.
one success.
That's 1 success.
Oh, so one more. 2d20 plus 12.
No,
No,
just roll
just-
another d20.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're trying to reach under 12. It's a natural 1, which is 2
Oh.
successes, so that's 3 successes. You do a successful sensor sweep. Luckily, the ship has decent sensors. So you bring up, and you can ask a single question.
We were trying to scan to see if anything was out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if there was a
Something
single
preventing
point
us.
of
Yeah.
the interference.
Yeah. See if we can find the source of the interference.
What is the
So?
source of the interference?
Okay. The source of the interference is this subspace anomaly, Scylla and Charybdis. And it is part of a larger field of these anomalies that you just kind of came in on the front end of. That you specifically remember when you set out that you were going to navigate around.
Could we check if our heading was correct? This feels
you
strange.
can spend. I think you have 1 or 2 more points of momentum.
I think I'd be more concerned about that after the fact, and more concerned about.
Well, but I
getting-
mean, if they've moved, that changes what they are.
That's true.
Or it just means that our mapping of them was incorrect or incomplete, which wouldn't be all that surprising given that we're in the armpit of the galaxy.
I agree with Sirid.
So are you going
Sorry,
to ask
Doctor.
another question on the sensor sweep, or are you going to do a new task?
We already have a successful sensor sweep. Then at least we don't have to roll again for something.
But we are spending momentum in order to do so.
That's true.
Science, do you have any questions about this anomaly?
I don't think that I do in the same vein for what we were sweeping for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or
That's
we
not
could
what I
ask
thought it
what
was.
happens is if the anomaly changed when it like got our energy from impulse and
Like, is the anomaly growing or intensifying?
right reacted to it.
I
Okay.
mean, I think we could. I think that'd be a good thing to ask.
Okay. Let's.
So is
Yeah.
the anomaly intensifying?
Is there any change?
Is
as
there
it
a feedback
approaches?
effect?
Is there any change? Yes, there is a change in the anomaly. The more energy you're pouring into it, the more it's kind of asking for. It's drawing more and more. Right now, you put the warp engines on, it was like at warp 1, right? Now that meant that the energy that it was drawing off the shields has stopped. But the warp field is being dissipated. And pretty soon, this is going to stop the warp bubble. The only way that you can keep a ship safe at this point is increasing the energy going into the warp field.
Can we use our computer?
hold on.
Or go ahead, Marcus.
I'm wondering if we should go about this the other way. The more power we sink into this thing, the more it's draining. What
So-
if we gave it as little as we possibly could?
Could we use the computer or a resident smart person such as Sirid Hex, science officer, to do a calculation as to if we were to drop power to minimal levels, if the feedback effect in the anomaly would decrease to the point where maybe we weren't in danger? Could we figure that? Could we make a calculation to figure that out before trying to
You
drop our
certainly
power?
could, with the information you already have.
Hmm.
I'll just give this one to you. With the information you already have, if there's not energy going into this anomaly, then it's going to seek whatever sources of energy are. And the sources of energy on this ship could be up to and including the containment field around the matter-antimatter reactor, warp core, down to the energy that is created by the. So, not
No.
feeding it anything is almost certainly lethal for everybody.
Okay.
What if
So-
we shoot and send energy somewhere else with our phasers?
Unfortunately, I think we have far more energy with the ship than we could deliver with phasers or photons or anything like that. And if it is seeking energy, it's going to seek it from the most, where it is most, and that would be us. What was interesting to me is when we initiated the warp bubble, it wasn't draining the shields. Can we sustain that warp bubble?
Yes. So, I mean, I again, with the information you've already gotten, the warp bubble that you've put up right now is close to collapsing, as David Humphreys has just kind of palmed up to the bridge to tell you. And so in order to sustain it, he has to start slowly increasing it, and he can keep pace on the expected level of drain, but he's going to have to keep pumping up the amount of warp energy.
Yeah.
And eventually he's going to top out the engines. So around your top energy level, which is about warp 9 point something or 9, this ship, he can slowly bring it up for that time. That's going to take you about 8 hours.
Because that I think is a way to buy time. But if this thing is getting more and more strong, for lack of a better word, the more energy it gets, that's just a way to dig ourselves into a deeper hole. We're just feeding it more and more energy. It is becoming stronger. But if it's between losing our shields and going into warp.
Do we know why our impulse engines won't work?
Yeah, the impulse engines won't work because they gave off level of energy that was lower than kind of the shields and it's already taking, so it just immediately dissipated that and didn't create any momentum. Just took the energy.
This may be a dumb question. Can you activate impulse drives while a warp bubble is up?
No, they're two separate systems. Impulse is a way to gain sublight momentum. But how a warp field works is you actually create a semi-extra dimensional pocket where the laws of physics can be stretched, and you kind of almost phase shift a fraction into subspace. And so the ship at warp doesn't actually move. You sit in this subdimension, and then the warp field actually moves the bubble.
Okay.
Space and time.
Cool.
And that's how faster than light travel can happen. But at top impulse, you're moving at what, like a quarter light speed, and it's just it's the sublight system.
So, I think we definitely have to increase the warp for a bit.
Yeah,
we can figure
we
something
need
out.
to buy some time, so
Well,
want to.
we have some time. The
Mhm.
shields are taking it right now.
Okay.
Right now, the warp bubble's taking it.
Right now, the warp bubble.
As soon as the warp field collapses, then the shields will start taking it again. And in order to bring the warp up, David will have to roll against that subspace interference again.
Yeah, let's try and keep it up.
It's on you, Captain.
I think
It
we
is a
should try.
captain decision.
We should try and keep it up.
Okay. It is no problem for him to keep it up now that it is up. Just slowly increase it.
Okay.
So, what do you think would happen then if he can maintain it if he slowly increases it? What if he immediately just jumps it up to 9? Would that give us enough power to establish the bubble to the threshold we need, or would that just blow us up?
It's a great question. That's probably not something you can answer with just a simple sensor sweep. You have two options there. One, you can do research test, which is an extended test, or you can just friggin' try it, which is by far and away the more dangerous of the two options.
The captain wants you to research.
And bold.
He 1000% wants you to research this before you do anything.
All right, let's do a research task. That sounds like fun.
Okay. Now, did you guys have... We had modular laboratories, but we didn't decide before the beginning of this mission what that laboratory was set up to do.
It was set up to detect and determine the cause of subspace anomalies.
It's a
Weird.
subspace anomaly research center.
That was
That's right.
exactly what it was.
Okay.
I remember.
That is a talent that you guys have. So that is phenomenal. Now, who is going to be tasked, Captain, to do this research?
I feel like it would be most appropriate for my science officer to do that research.
Yeah.
So you leave yourself from the bridge and you head down to the left.
Yes.
I feel like you should
Yes.
also take the doctor with you.
She's better at science than I am. Yeah.
Yeah, she
Okay.
can.
So Dr. Bassa and Kirid are both headed down to the lab in order to work on this problem.
Mhm.
David has his hands full, slowly moderating the increase of the warp engines over the next 8 hours. Now, there is a hanging question over this problem. One, when you guys tried to look up stuff on this computer, the computer glitched out.
Right.
Two, you're 99% certain that you didn't set this course. Shouldn't have run into any anomalies, which means either one of two possibilities. The anomalies are in a new place,
Or our
which
course was changed.
course was changed.
That latter sounds very possible. Maybe Marcus could look into that.
But even if the course was changed, just passive sensors should have seen this coming.
Foul play is afoot.
Indeed.
I think we should shoot all the people that we small talked with at that party. They're
That would be
awful and they need to die.
Is the subspace interference interfering with our subspace communication system?
You haven't tried to communicate. Likely it will. Doesn't mean you can't communicate, but have to make it so. Just sending a message is a 0-level task. With the subspace interference, it'd be 2 successes required to send that message out.
Okay. So I feel like we should follow up on different tacks. This research tack, this did we follow the right course? And 2, can we send a message out requesting assistance from a nearby anyone?
So is this a distress signal, or are you sending it to a specific person?
How far away are we how far are we away from Starbase 46 at maximum warp?
Starbase 117 at
yes.
maximum warp. So at your cruising warp, which is warp 7, is where you would go. How fast you're going, days away.
Okay.
But that you're not sure where the Louis Riel was going, so you don't know what is close by.
Okay. I feel like in that case, probably a general distress signal would be most appropriate.
Okay. So, Captain, do you want to do a communication test then?
Okay. Okay, so what am I doing for communications?
Just looking that up.
Great.
All right. So communications, what you're going to do is this is going to be a let's see, a command plus computers test for Bonaventure, and for you it will be a command plus control.
Okay.
Command plus reason. That makes more sense.
Okay. So what am I rolling here?
So, command plus control for yourself.
Okay.
Reason.
Command plus
Command
reason.
plus reason, sorry. And this is a level 2 task. I'm going to spend 3 points of threat to turn into a level 5 task.
Okay. So command plus reason for me is 12. So specifically, what am I rolling here?
So that would be 2d20 unless you have a focus, plus... you want to roll from your character sheet.
Oh.
I mean, technically that was a successful, so if you keep it, you can.
Let's Well, we can redo
And
that.
are you using any momentum?
Um,
How many do we have at this point? We've been spending it pretty freely.
You have 2.
Oh, nice.
how do I combine the? Sorry. So I've got reason.
So you
When you
click on
click on
reason,
it.
and then it'll ask you what else you're going to twin it with.
Okay. So reason command. Okay. So 2d20. Okay.
You spend momentum, and you have a focus.
I do not have an applicable focus.
Okay.
And spend 1 momentum.
Okay, so that's an additional dice. So you have dice.
Okay. Applicable focus. No.
3 successes, not
Nice.
bad at all. Now, who's going to roll for the Bonaventure? So this is communications, which is an 8, plus 10 is a 2, so that's a 10.
I'll roll.
Nice.
That's 2 more successes. That is a total of 5 successes.
We called for help.
You've sent out a successful distress signal.
Woo!
Great. Well,
We're so great.
you
We
know,
really know how to do this.
it's okay to ask for help.
That
when-
should be one of your foci, I think.
It's
Asking
a
for
value
help.
or something.
Ask
It's
for
okay to ask for help. Okay, so you get the distress signal out. You've got Vanessa, or you've got Dr. Bassa and Irid off to the laboratory to do research. Now you have one more question hanging over you.
What are we going to have for dinner?
I was thinking more along the lines of there's something foul afoot.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing might want to get your security officer just to assist him to start investigating them.
I'm here to investigate.
Rossi,
I'll
I'd
help
like
him
you
with-
to examine whether or not any foul play is afoot.
Okay,
So
I would like to do
now
that.
that we have our assignments, we're right at 8:30, so I think that we'll probably wrap up there. Everybody has their assignments. They're off to go and do various things. There's going to be investigation happening and research, and you've put out your distress signal, and you have about 8 hours before everyone horribly dies.
Great.
I mean, with the shields and stuff, like, it's probably more like 8 hours and 20 minutes, really. But,
Pretty
Yeah.
much, we got tons of extra time with that 20.
yeah.
Did our ship have an extra power source?
Yeah, so your ship's talents, you have improved impulse drive, secondary reactors, improved warp drive, and rugged design. You guys,
Can our
this ship is designed to keep you alive in this very situation.
Mhm.
And yet I feel like we'll challenge that.
You may be doing a good job, but I think we can overcome it.
All right, thanks so much, everybody. I'm just going to stop the stream. We'll be back next week, I think, or we'll talk about that after the stream.